What's going on, guys? Welcome to this video. By the way, I am using a different mic setup, so it's going to sound a lot different. You can see I'm actually wearing a mic now. It's a little better quality, I think, in a lot of my videos. I have a cord I have to deal with, but that's not a big deal. If you guys know, obviously, this we've been talking about 3D printing for a little bit. Told you guys on Instagram that I would probably do a actual episode of how I build one of these helmets. So here we are. This is what it is. I am going to show you guys my step-by-step on how I do these helmets. This is going to take probably about a week to 2 weeks of recording. So you're probably going to see me in like 10 different shirts. Also, everything is done a little out of order because I'm doing it when I can. For example, this is the lid, like the top part of the helmet we're getting ready to do, which is Captain Rex Phase 2. However, later in the video, I show you guys me splitting it and getting ready to print it, but it is already done. Basically, in this video, we're gonna go through a couple things. I'm gonna show you guys my software, how it works, what I do on there with a helmet file, and how I actually split it. Actually, real quick, we're actually gonna start that software video. Also, it's just gonna talk about when I get the file, I break it into Mesh Mixer, into different parts that fit the printer, that print a little better, and then I upload it into Cura, which is my slicer, which is how I send stuff to my printer and mess with stuff on there. So let's watch that clip real quick. Future Yummy here. Before we jump into this video, I gotta talk to you guys about a game called Raid Shadow of Legends. Don't know about you, but I'm tired of the whole fluffy, cartoony, candy, rainbow stuff like we're 10 years old in games. I'm excited to show you guys Raid Shadow Legends, which is so far from that. It's real, it's raw, it's dark, it's epic. What I like most about this game, guys, is how complex and how many things you can do in this game. You can battle in campaigns, in the dungeons, the faction wars, the arenas. This has even got PvP. The really cool thing about this game is you don't only have to play it on your phone. You can also play this game on the PC. Like I said, here in the battle area, you can go to the arena and actually play people. You set up your defense for when people play you, this is who they have to go against. So you want to set your best players here. And you can see my team powers only have 5,200, but I'm getting there. Then you have places like the Tavern, which is kind of how you upgrade and sacrifice champions. You literally can sacrifice them and you click in here to upgrade stuff, upgrade the rank. And obviously I don't have the stuff for it, but you can do all this type of stuff. And this is where you would take each one of your characters and you can do all kinds of things. So let's say, for example, here, let's upgrade him there, and boom, this guy is now upgraded. And the one that I really like playing a lot is the campaign. You can go in here, you can see I think I'm almost done with the third part here. You can go in here, I'm on stage 3. I have my player set. Here, this is first wave. This is my absolute favorite guy right here. He's level 6. Watch this move right here. So if I click on this guy right here, that's just the typical smack, but I'm gonna show you this this move that he does have that I absolutely love. But basically all of your characters will have different type of attack abilities. As you see here, this lady shoots arrows. My favorite move, watch this. Hiya! And they're all dead, just like that. It's so amazing. Big thing to Raid is they actually just changed their daily login awards from 90 days to 180 days. Instead, you can claim free rewards from energy refills, silver, gems, shards, and a free Barbarian Legend champion. Speaking of the legend and the champions, I'm going to show you guys some of these graphics. I like the high elves because they're blue. It's kind of my favorite. But check out this guy right here. Look at the detail. You can zoom in and the absolute amazing. I mean, this is certainly not your candy rainbow game. The detail in this is unbelievable. And this is actually one of the champions I'm trying to get because I think he looks insane. It almost looks like he has like a full sleeve tattoo, but it's like glowing. Faction we'll go into here. This one's pretty cool. This is the Skinwalkers up here. It just sounds terrifying. You can see something like this. Looks like a polar bear. Look at this. It's like that is the last thing I want to run into in my life. And you can see it's got a crap ton of HP, a lot of skills, and definitely something you want to be on your side of the battlefield. So what are you guys waiting for? Go to the video description and click on the special links in there. If you're a new player, you'll get 200,000 silver and a free champion. Also, once you get your rewards, at the very top right, there's a chest. If you click that, it goes to your inbox. That is where you can get all your rewards. Big shout out to Raid Shadow Legends for supporting me and sponsoring this video. It means a lot, guys. It allows me to continue to do 3D printing and make videos like this for you guys. Now back to the video. Guys, what's going on? So I know this mic is not very good. It is my headset mic. Unfortunately, I need a new something to plug my Shure mic into. So when I'm recording on the screen, it's not going to look very good. I apologize. So really quick, guys, like I said, I'm going to walk you through this whole process of me printing this Captain Rex helmet, and that starts with right here on this program called Mesh Mixer. I learned all of this myself. I'm self-taught on basically anything I do on this channel. It's stuff that I teach myself. So without talking anymore, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag in the Rex file. You're going to see it come up, printing all the faces, and obviously this is what the helmet looks like. So I actually haven't sat here and looked at this entirely, so I actually don't know exactly where I'm going to be cutting. But basically, this program you use to, when you have like a whole helmet like this, I'm not going to print the helmet in one piece. I need to break it into separate pieces. So with this helmet, what I'm actually going to do is use this program to cut it into numerous amount of pieces. Probably the top, I'll probably actually cut along this line right here, right under that line, and that'll bring it all the way around to be flat. So yeah, so right above this earpiece is probably where I'll cut the top part at. I'm not going to show you guys cutting every single piece of this helmet together, because that would be like 40 minutes of me sitting here messing with this program. So but I'm just going to kind of show you guys this first cut, which is going to be kind of difficult because this file is on its side. So normally files are upright, but this file is not very good. So I mean, it's not bad, but yeah, come in here and do plain cut. And like I said, normally it's a lot easier than this. So again, I'm still learning this program, so I'm not proficient. You can see how laggy the program is. Probably my computer, to be honest, but yeah, you can see how kind of meh it is. Right, so this is the actual plane. So right, so I got it as straight as possible as I'm going to be able to get it right now, and I'm actually going to bring this plane up as close as I can to the line that I want to cut at, which I don't remember where it's at. Okay, so it's going to be right above, right. That's about right there. So I wanted it to be right under this lip right here, you see, and looks like, is it below the lip there? I think it might actually be on the other side of the lip here. So again, I'm basically, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sit here and mess with it for a second until I get the cut that I want, and then I'll show you guys. So I think I got it. You can kind of see the lip right there. I won't really be able to tell until I go ahead and separate the shells. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come up here, I'm gonna keep both of these sides and accept it, and it's gonna go back to normal like that. So I'll come down here and separate the shells, which will give me two different pieces, exactly where that cut is. So now I can actually see where that cut is at, and it's a little higher than where I wanted it to be. I wanted it to be more about right here. However, this isn't a deal breaker. I mean, that's fine right there. So that cut that piece like so, and all the way around. That'll be nice and flat and very easy to fill, because this part is a little bit recessed, so it's not going to be too hard to fill. It's easier if I cut it like right here than this line right here. I mean, you could cut it along the eyebrow. That may actually be a better cut, but then I gotta mess with trying to get it perfectly to line up in here. I actually did lay it in here. I would have to fill that, like would fill the inside, and then it would fill this crease up, and then you'd lose the detail in the crease, and that's just not something I want to do. It's a lot easier to just take it down this piece. I'm gonna show you guys on this program is you'll see I have two different shells. I'll export each one of these shells literally by just clicking File Export, and we'll go over to Cura, which is my slicing program. So now that we're on Cura, you'll see the two different parts that I did make. I'll just drag them in here real quick. You'll see this is the top part we cut, and if I drag the other piece in here, you'll see the bottom part. So while this is kind of rendering, this is for my Creality CR10 Pro Max. It'll obviously come up here like this. So basically I'm going to rotate this sucker down to where it's flat on the bed, which is not going to, so I got to turn that off. And basically what I'll do is try to get this as flat as possible. Luckily Cura is pretty nice at doing that. You can see it's probably a little raised on the back, so we'll adjust it by a little bit, that's probably flat enough. That bottom part is going to be sanded no matter what. So you can see this is now the top part of the helmet, and I already have all of these presets made. I custom made, or I want to say custom, but printing at 0.2 layer height. I know I could print it 0.3, but I'll lose quality, so I don't do that. Just these are settings that I found that worked for my printer the best through the time. So you sit here and click slice, and you'll see that this is not something that just happens in like 2 or 3 hours. This is something that takes a long time. If you're not familiar with how 3D printing works, it is a long process. It is not something that you just click a button and it's done. As you can see, this top piece alone is going to take 1 day, 6 hours, and 52 minutes, and that's pretty accurate. And if you take this now, if I did it at 0.3, it would be faster, but again, we're not doing that. So what I like to do is after I get something, I like to look at my layers. This, you can view layers all the way down, but I'm not going to get all in depth in this, guys, and probably boring you because you guys, half of you don't fucking care about this. So, but I just thought I'd show you guys how this program works, and you can see every file. And now I'll export this to my printer. So basically, you see how that works for the most part. The top part that we were splicing in there is actually done, so I'm going to show it to you guys. This is it right here. This is actually the first time I've printed the helmets that I have without splitting the top. I normally split the top, but I didn't. I still have some support I got to get out of the inside of this. You can see it down in there, but it's pretty much done. Just need to be sanded, everything else, and it looks really good. Like I said a second ago, this is for a Captain Rex Phase 2 Clone Trooper helmet. If you don't know who Captain Rex is, then you live under a rock. This helmet is actually for, if you guys remember, Thumper. Thumper from West Virginia. I'm making this helmet for him. He sent me some money for filament, as well as he bought this file for me. So there are some files in 3D printing that you have to buy. You can't get them all for free. And Thumper bought this one for me for the video. So during this video, we're going to make it, and it's going to be for him. Really quick, before we get in further, I'm sorry this is full talking right now, but we got to go through the steps. First off, I showed you guys the software of getting the file and tearing it up into different parts in Mesh Mixer, throwing it into Cura, putting it on a micro SD card, and then there is slots right there on this printer and the other this printer's over here, where a micro SD card goes in where you save it to. It's an STL file. It'll go on here. I basically click print, select the file, it heats up to whatever temperatures I have it set at, and it does its work. After they print, I assemble all the parts. After assembly, I then cover all the creases by either doing friction welding, which I will show you, wood filler. I'm not sure which one we're gonna do yet, but those are your options. It's like wood filler is basically Bondo. You do that, you sand it, prime it, you do it again, sand it, prime it, do it again, get it until it's really smooth the way you like. Any 3D print lines, if you don't sand them all the way down, you're gonna see them in the paint. Do that until you get a really smooth part, you paint it, and then after you paint it, you get a good coverage. That's when you go into detail paint, and then that's when you weather it. And then after weathering, you do a visor, which I still have to make for my new helmet. Speaking of, some people ask me about my helmets and everything like that. So if you're not on Instagram, the two I have made so far is obviously this Mandalorian helmet, which will bring it into the light. My Mandalorian helmet, this is the first helmet I ever made. It is not perfect. However, it came out pretty damn good for my first ever printed helmet. Already has the visor in it and everything. But let me show you this helmet. Just to actually finish this helmet, this is Commander Pons. If you know anything about Star Wars, he's actually in the Battle of Geonosis, which I think is in episode 2 of Star Wars, the Clone Wars. His helmet didn't look like this in the movie. It was much cleaner. However, I wanted to go for a post Battle of Geonosis and what his helmet would have looked like after all the battles he went through with Mace Windu. You can see all the weathering on it. It looks like blasters hit it in multiple spots, and it also has that very brown dirt on it. You can kind of see right there that the planet of Geonosis has, and I did all of that. I painted the stripes and I weathered it as well. I'm pretty proud of it. I just got to put the visor in it right now. I have been thinking about doing a little bit of time lapse. I do have something called an Octoprint set up. I may do that, probably not. I'll probably just show you stuff printing. So without further ado, we're gonna throw 2 files on this printer and you guys will see how they start out. I know this is gonna kind of look really weird with the black lines because the camera recording a screen. But real quick, real simple, I'm gonna show you guys. I throw in this piece here into my Cura software. And I just wanted to point out how long it does take sometimes. Spend about 5 minutes trying to figure out how I wanted this piece to be manipulated. And how the supports are going to look, because when you're printing, you need supports to hold the object up if it's an awkward object like this, and if they're not placed correctly or they're too thin, they could fail in the middle of the part. And if that happens, then you obviously have a bigger issue than anything, because you just wasted all that filament that could break down in the middle of the part. So this is a good base. I can bring it down to the very bottom layer and see that this is going to be a really good together the entire time it prints. There's no thin supports, so this would be good. Actually, all I have to do is, this roll is already kind of small. I have it calculated at 799 grams I've used. I keep a track of every single thing I print, so I know how much has, okay? So this part we're getting ready to print has 107 grams, so we will be 7 grams or 6 grams over what this roll can do, and I don't like chancing that, so we're gonna put a fresh roll on there. In order to do that, I gotta come here, prepare, and I need to, this is so weird doing it through the camera. I have to go to preheat PLA, because that's what we print in, and I'm just gonna preheat the entire thing. What that does is basically heats up the extruder, which is where the filament goes through, so I can pull it out and put a different filament thing in. Also wanna do a big shout out to this stuff, Bedweld. It's not sponsored at all. If it wants to focus. I put this stuff on both of my beds. It has to be a glass bed, and it adheres my parts perfect. Ever since I switched to this stuff, I've had no unlevel bed problems at all. You can get it from Amazon. It's expensive, it's like $18, but dude, this has lasted me so long. I can't even tell you how long it's lasted me. It's lasted me forever. Okay, so up here, I loaded the white in, and then over here, I loaded the red in. This is a brand new roll. These are from FanMail, if you watch FanMail. So basically what I'll do, I'll go down here and I'll click print from TF, and then I'll have my part right there, which is Rex, back half left top. I just name it whatever it is. And I'll do the same thing over here. This one's a little fancier, it's touchscreen. I'll go back here, print, and then Rex front face bottom. So this is the bottom of Rex's helmet, because the top part I actually already printed, which I'll bring to you guys over here. And that's the top part. You can hear how loud it gets. It's that printer over there is very loud. This one is almost completely mute. I have silent boards on it, and they don't make them for the Macs over there. But this is why I want filament, by the way, guys. You can see down here, the piece on the big printer is going to take a while. It takes a day and 8 hours. Why? Because I print at high quality instead of fast speed. I could probably get it down to around 18 hours, cut about 7, 8 hours, 9, 10 hours off of it if I print it at a lower quality, but that means I would have to sand more, and I don't want to do that. I like having it nice, so I don't have to sand a lot. This piece over here, I believe, is going to take 12 hours. I don't remember exactly, but somewhere around that, this piece will take. So throughout its process, I'll check back in with you guys so you guys can see how it's printing, and we'll see how it starts. As we begin on this side, you can see basically it auto homes itself, prints some filament out here. You can kind of see a little strand of filament coming out that is white. Basically what I do is when it gets back over here, it's just an OCD thing for me. As soon as it comes back, it'll go up. There it is. And I'll tear it off just because I don't like it on there. And then what it'll do is it'll print this skirt. As you can see, what I do is like a good level test as I come in and I kind of rub my finger on it. And if it doesn't move at all, that means it's got great bed adhesion. Not worried about it. There's a little concern right there. So I'm getting ready to go to bed. I'm not wearing the mic, so sorry if it sounds a little bit different. Just kind of wanted to do an update. As you can see, it has been about 3.5 hours so far on our small printer, and we are 32% of the way there. So you can see I think it's about 12 hours it's gonna take, and let that focus there. I did actually re-level the bed when I was talking about that this spot did not print well. It was too close. I went ahead and ended it after that, and I re-leveled the bed, and it's printing much better. Over here, this is the bottom part of the front. You can see that is also printing pretty good, and the printer is very loud. And that one is been going for 3 hours and 52 minutes, and it is 8% done. So you can see it is taking a while. Also, I know a lot of people may see this temperature at 230 degrees and be like, holy crap, why are you printing PLA that hot? However, this filament, I don't remember what brand it is. There you go, MakerBot filament. It is suggested to print this PLA at 230 degrees Celsius, which is incredibly hot. I never print stuff that hot. But just wanted to do a little status update. I'm going to bed, and we'll do another update tomorrow and see how much farther along we are. It is the next morning. I'm actually heading to work. I have beach patrol today, but I wanted to show off that this part is still going. We're sitting at 31%. You can see this part is taking a while. It sat all the way overnight, and it won't be done till tonight around 8 o'clock. It's about 5:50 in the morning right now. But as you can see, this part is done. You see how easy it came off the bed. For anyone that has a 3D printer, something that releases that easy off the bed and it has good adhesion is pretty hard to find, and that's because of the bed weld stuff back there. It adheres, but once it cools, it allows it to come off. You can see all the support. And basically later I'll show you guys how to take off that support, and this piece is done. Came out really good. It is the next day and a half. I already took this part off. That's this one right here, I believe, or maybe it's that one. I don't remember which one it is. However, it is the next day and a half. The parts are done, and this one specifically, and again, I want to emphasize how awesome Bed Weld is. Again, not sponsored, just saying it's awesome. I can literally take this and it comes off just like that, as easy as if it was sitting on nothing. And this front face came out amazing. You can see how smooth it looks. It came out very, very good. That's like a day and 6 hours, I think it is, something like that. So we'll set that over here and leave the supports on that, because we'll do that in a second. We now have 2 parts left. I'm not gonna sit here and go through those whole entire parts. All right guys, what's going on? So welcome to the next part of the video. This part is where we tear off the supports. As you can see, this is all of the parts here. There's a total of 9. So it's actually not that many parts. I know that sounds like a lot, but I was able to do pieces like this all in one piece. This is the lower half of the front face, and you can see all of the support inside of it, all that useless filament that we're gonna be breaking away. So real quick, I'll grab an easy piece. This piece I already did prior. It has no support. Obviously, this is the eye area, but I'll grab a simple piece that doesn't have a lot of support. We got the support off that one too. So let's start with this one. Basically what you do when you have the support, you grab it. You can easily tell what's support and what's not, and it's very faintly on the 3D print. So typically you take some pliers that look like this, and you kind of just peel it back like that, and you see how easy it comes back. Some pieces are easier than others. Some are an absolute pain in the rear end, because some just don't, and that one just come flying off. Some just don't come off very well, but just like that, there's no more support on the front. And if you flip over to the back, you have little pieces like this one's being a pain, but it came off eventually. But I don't worry too much about the support on the back being neat and nice about it, because at the end of the day, it's inside the helmet, and I'm gonna line the helmet eventually. Well, not this one, but if I'm finishing a helmet, I would, and you would never see it. So yeah, so now this is the part without the support, supporting the areas that were rough. This is actually the very back of the helmet, and now it's support free and ready to go on. I'll move the camera real quick down so you guys can see me. I'm going to go ahead and remove the rest of the support off all of this. This is just another example, guys, of me walking through the entire process of printing a 3D helmet, and to show how time consuming and how not easy it is, I guess, if that makes sense. Just like that, those pieces are done. As you can see, I cut myself pretty good there. When I was pulling off one of these big pieces, I pulled and I scraped my arm on the side of the lower piece of the helmet. It's not that bad though. But that happens a lot. I don't know why. I always like cut myself or hit myself on something. It's just, you know, that's just me. This is the pieces. They are mostly de-supported, whatever you want to call it. The only parts I need to fix are the edges, and what I do with that is I sand those down so they're really smooth, as if they never had support on them. Because you can only get on there so much and rip so much off with these little pliers, and they do work really well, but it's a lot easier because this stuff, a lot of it will just fall off while you're sanding, so it's a lot easier to take it and sand it. So the next part we're going to do is one of my favorite parts, is assembling everything piece by piece. Like I mentioned before, I have sandpaper. This is 150 grit. I also have 180 grit, but I tend to use something a little rougher to clean up the edges. Now these edges right here I probably won't touch. I may scuff them a little bit. However, there were no supports on these sides, especially the bottom side. It's very, very flat and don't have to worry about it. But on this side down here is where we'll really need to sand. And basically just take sandpaper, get my little trash can, and this piece of sandpaper is already worn out, but just sit here and get it. You can see some of it. I don't know, you're probably not gonna be able to see it, but some of it is already flaking off because it's already barely on there. And basically I'll do this and get it as flat as possible so that when we super glue, it super glues on very easily, flushly, and I have to do less filler options, because the less filling I have to do, the more time I'm saving in the long run. Alright, that's about it. A lot of these parts did not need to be sanded. That's just kind of how it works sometimes. You'll get parts that don't need sanded because they weren't printed with supports or anything like that. So you see me also picking up this tool. This is just to kind of clean up some sections, some parts that are obviously too thick that would take a little bit longer with sandpaper. I'll do that a lot. But so basically now we assemble. This is the glue I use. It is JB Weld Super Weld, professional grade, wherever you want to call it. Honestly, there is no reason why I'm using it other than that it works. It's one of the first super glues I grabbed, and it ended up working absolutely awesome. Almost too well sometimes, and I keep buying. It's like my 4th bottle. So what we're gonna start with is probably the face, which I noticed earlier when I was lining pieces up. We'll actually bring you guys in a little closer. Noticing when I was lining pieces up that this lines up good. I just have to, because this has a lot of flex, I have to just make sure the flex is right, and basically have to line up the 2 nose pieces and the 2 end pieces as best as possible, which is kind of difficult in a part like this because I can't see all parts at once. So honestly, this is going to be one of those things where I just wait for it to get a little tacky, and once it gets a little tackier, I'll be able to slightly move it without it completely falling off. So this is going to take a minute, so stay tuned. I'll probably get super glue all over me. It's usually how it works. So this piece wasn't too bad. I mean, it's still not set, trust me. I do have this lip is a little raised over here, which isn't a big deal. My main areas, because that can all be done in post-processing, the main areas when I'm lining pieces up is body lines. So this line right here needs to line up. These 2 nozzle pieces in the very front need to line up with each other, and the same thing with this body line over here. I could care less on the end pieces that come up a little bit or maybe aren't perfectly on there, and that's because those can be sanded, modified, wood filled with no issues whatsoever. However, you could make body lines with wood filler, but you're asking a little too much of the wood filler. So that gets very interesting and very annoying compared to just filling in the edges and getting stuff to connect. You can see it lines up pretty well. I don't know if the camera is focused, you know how this camera is, but my body lines and helmet lines are lining up perfect. Basically, I'll let this sit for a second. What I like to do also is I'll come on the back side of the crease, and I'll actually put super glue on the back side as well. However, this piece is so fragile, I want this super glue to set before I lean it up against anything. And just like that, that was really easy. This piece lines up. Another really big plus to this piece is it is printed on the same filament and the same printer. As you can see, I got multicolor. That's because I have 2 different printers, and so I print off 2 different ones. So it increases my speed. Like, I'd still be printing this helmet. But the negative side of printing off of 2 printers is they don't both print at the same exact accuracy. So you will get parts that don't line up exact, and that's because they're printed on 2 different printers. However, when you get the parts like this is printed on the same printer and the same filament. These lines line up literally exactly to the point, which is nice. However, it's not a big deal if they didn't, because you know you have other ways to remedy that. The thing I noticed about this piece that's really nice is both of these pieces printed on the bed like that. Whenever you have ends that print on the bed, they are the smoothest. So I use a glass bed 3D printing. So whatever is touching the bed of your 3D printer, will print the absolute smoothest because it prints on glass. So it like melts to the glass and it creates like a glassy 3D print. So the bottom of my 3D prints, whatever is touching it is always very glassy, very smooth, all the same level. Due to this video taking multiple days, I forget what I showed you and what I have not shown you. The helmet is completely together. I don't remember if I showed you that or not. I'm pretty sure I did, but yeah, so there's a huge crease in the back. If you kind of see, if the camera focuses, there's a giant crease in the back. You can see straight through it. That's unfortunately because I've been printing with 2 separate printers. That will cause that. They don't both print the same, therefore parts won't line up. All the other creases are pretty good though. They're pretty flush against each other. And so what we're gonna do is, I didn't plan on using 2 different methods to hide the creases, but we are gonna use 2 different methods. One is called friction welding, and one is just going to be some wood filler or plastic glue, whatever you wanna call it. This is what it looks like if the camera focuses in. Maybe I gotta move my face. Camera, please. Please, camera. There it is. So you can get this from like Home Depot. You actually can get this from Walmart. I didn't know. So it's just wood filler, and it sands really good and actually bonds to 3D prints very nicely. So what is friction welding? Basically, you take a Dremel tool like this. You have, I bought the little chuck that you can put on here, and there's a little tiny piece of filament up at the top, the same filament I printed with. I'll turn this Dremel on. Basically, this filament will be moving so fast, once it makes contact with the 3D print, it will melt right down on it. So what will happen is it will actually melt into this crease, binding the 2 joints, and then also creating a little extra on top so you can sand it to be smooth to where there is you can't feel the crease at all. But right now you can obviously feel the crease. But I'm gonna do this real quick, show you guys the result, and then I'm gonna do the rest of the helmet and show you guys at the very end, and then go to the wood filler. Be kind of hard to see. I have the camera pretty close and it should be focused, but that is basically it. So it melted that filament into this line here, and because this line is a little higher, I'm probably gonna add a little extra than just that, and then basically when I come back to sand, I'll sand this completely level to where these parts are 100% level, and I'll actually do that right now just so you can see. The crease is now gone essentially in this spot. Now you saw what it looked like before, and try to get a little closer to the camera without it unfocusing. You can see the black is there. However, the only part of this black is actually recessed in the crease. What I do is after I hit it with the 120 or 150 grit sandpaper, ideally I could actually use something lower to make it happen, go through a little faster. Now, with this, what I do to test it is when it's all done, because remember this piece was higher than this piece. And what I'll do is sit here and make sure it is good, is I'll actually run my finger across all the different parts and I won't look at it. So my whole thing is if you can't feel it, it won't appear in the paint. This is gonna be really hard to show, but I'm gonna grab the spatula, get some wood filler, and I'm actually gonna come from the inside of the helmet and push it out and then smooth it across this. Like I said, this is gonna be really tough to show, but I'll do my best. Literally looks kind of like putty, and I'm gonna kind of focus and go through the back here. Like I said, this is gonna be really hard to show you guys because I gotta make sure I do this in the right spot. Granted, it doesn't really matter because this is the back of the helmet, but we're gonna try to push it through there and it's not staying. So probably gonna have to go through the front side. Another big factor is this wood filler is probably on its last leg. So what I'll do is I'll just go through the front here, but the big thing I wanna do is I don't wanna get any on the 3D print itself right now. I really just wanna fill the crack and let it sit in there flush. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna try to push that in there and then pull up a lot of it. There it goes. Can you guys see that? Yeah, you can. So again, I'm just trying to get in the crack, pulling up the excess. I'm gonna flip the helmet around here. Try it again here. Get it in the crack. Really just pushing in there. Hard part is getting it off because again, this is not the cleanest stuff in the entire freaking world, so it is a little tedious getting out. Essentially, what I can compare this stuff to, guys, is Bondo. It's kind of like Bondo. I don't want to call it Bondo because they are not the same thing at all, but for what 3D printing people use it for, it is basically Bondo. Okay, and that's pretty much done. I'm not gonna say done because I might do another coat once it hardens. This stuff usually takes like, I don't know, like 4 hours to harden. However, this stuff is already almost completely dried out because of me having the container for a while. It can only seal so good. So this stuff will probably dry in like an hour. So you can kind of see, let's see if we can get the camera to focus real good. You can see that crack is now filled in and recessed all the way across where it needs to be. All right, so after sanding and sanding and sanding and sanding and sanding from 60 grit to 80 grit to 120 grit to 400 grit to 800 grit, tons of sanding. I got the rear gap filled in with wood filler. The cracks are all, you can see they're all got the weld in it. Literally, this is about 3 days worth of work, probably close to 12 hours of sanding, probably around 2 hours of welding, and about an hour of doing the wood filler, and it still can be sanded more. It definitely could use more sand, but I'm not going to. What I'm going to do now is go ahead and jump into the filler primer. I'm gonna hit it with the Rust-Oleum filler primer, hit it with like 2 or 3 coats, open my garage door, let it dry, and then basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have to come back to it, sand it some more, maybe put some more wood filler in it, hit it again, sand it some more until I get it at a level that I really like it, and then finally hit it with some white paint. This process takes so long, I completely forgot that I'm supposed to be recording every step. So obviously I have forgotten some steps. I went ahead and hit it with the filler primer twice. I've also filled the entire bottom side almost with wood filler. As you can see, the whole top side has wood filler on it. This is a super thin coat of wood filler. About 75% of this wood filler will all sand off when I hit the sanding process. Most of this will not stay on. However, I put more than what is really necessary on just so I know all the cracks, crevices, and 3D lines are filled. That way I can just sand it off in the sandpaper because it does come off very easily with sandpaper. But yeah, that's the process now. We are working on this for about a week now. And it's slowly but surely going. The bottom part is pretty smooth. I need to hit it with a like 1,000 grit sandpaper, maybe take down a couple other parts, a couple other pieces of it. I got stuff inside the ear to smooth out the inside from the 3D print. For the most part, it's going good though. I don't mind the mic here. I don't feel like putting it on properly, but I just wanted to show you guys the helmet. Another time, another update. It is looking good. We are going on, like, I don't even know. This is definitely been over a week since I've been working on this. It is looking good so far. I have a couple spots I just touched up. This is like the touch-up phase. It's kind of hard to see that. And I also come around here. You can see a spot of this. So I also printed a different earpiece, right? So this is the earpiece I just printed. This is the one that they provided, the file did. As you can see, it's a little oval, and it goes on like that. Well, that's incorrect. The bars are supposed to like that. So I think the guy that made this, he screwed up. So all I did was I took the big helmet file, put this in Mesh Mixer, and I cut this off of the helmet, and now it fits perfectly and it goes horizontal. So I'm letting that kind of dry so it has a smooth background. Then what I'm actually going to do is sand that off, put this earpiece on, and then what I'm going to do is, so there's no crease line around it, because if you look over here, you see how that is like built in, like there's no crease line. It's like it's absolutely built into it. That's what I'm going to do on this side. I'm going to put filler around the outside edges of where I glue it at, so it looks like it's actually built in here and not just glued on. Let's hit this with 400 and 800 grit sandpaper. As you can see, you probably won't even be able to tell which ear I attached and put wood filler on. Got that ear, and then you have this ear. They are both exactly identical, and there's no creases. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit this with white paint. We're on day like 9 of this helmet, and it's finally time for the paint. Video that never ends. It's the video that never ends. So welcome to part 765,345 out of 700, big number. So the helmet is painted white. It is painted white. You can see it. It looks very good. I need to sand a couple parts because I don't like how it came out all the way, but it's not a big deal because no helmet in Star Wars is clean. If you see a clean helmet in Star Wars, then it's just basically fake news. So a lot of these marks, blemishes, and stuff like that, you actually won't see them. So what is gonna happen now is I'm actually gonna tape off the top part. Now this is gonna be a gamble, but I'm gonna tape off the bottom part, excuse me, and then the top part is gonna get sprayed with blue paint. I'll show you that paint in a second. This is the closest to 501st blue that you can get. This is Brilliant Blue by Rust-Oleum, obviously. I've seen a lot of people paint with this with 501st helmets. And it's been recommended basically everywhere. So my garage is dirty. Basically what I'm going to do is tape off this like halfway here, all of this, and basically the brow down, trying to get blue paint in this area. And then I just bought a vinyl cutter machine because although I had some friends that would hook me up, I figured that I'm gonna need vinyl all the time to do paint masks. So I'm not really worried about it. I just bought one. It is what it is. Didn't feel like spending the money, but I did it anyways. So right now what I'm gonna be doing is adding the latex to the helmet in multiple spots. It's just liquid latex, kind of looks like that. Use it for costumes. What I'm gonna do is basically put this on a paintbrush, and with the paintbrush I'm going to just kind of lightly put it in spots that I want the blue not to show due to weathering. It won't be perfect. There's no perfect way to do this. It doesn't exist. Every weathering is different. It's just kind of how you want it to look. And I just kind of like having streaks here and there, especially because in the Captain Rex Rebels helmet, it definitely has streaks. And so basically what I'm gonna do is kind of simulate where I think the blue, the Jag Eyes is gonna be, and just kind of put streaks, not everywhere, just a couple streaks here and there. So what you do is you basically take a paintbrush, take the silicone, basically make sure that the paint is dry, and then I'll just take this and kind of put it across there like that. But I'll do this a bunch of times. It'll be hard for you to see because the latex is white and the paint is white. So basically what this latex is doing is going to hold the paint underneath here. And I'm using this brush, but it's kind of already messed up from the last time I tried this. And basically what the latex does is it holds the paint, and I'll just go through this. That's about good right there. You don't really have to do straight lines. You can, like I said, it's gonna be kind of hard for you guys to see. You can see some of the grooves here and there. You can see how I intentionally didn't make these straight. a couple times. Sometimes I did make them straight. Basically what I'm going to do now is just check on the ones that I have made, like this one right here. Maybe a little too thin. Is my vinyl cutter. Cut these out and made sure they were pressed down nice and good. This is the Rebels helmet, so the Jag eyes are a little different than the regular Rex if you go back and look. And then I placed all this painter's tape down by hand. It looks pretty good. It's about as straight and as good as it's gonna get. A couple parts have tape where it's not supposed to be, like that little corner, but that's getting painted gray, so that's okay. It also has the angles going into the corners, just like the Rebels helmet has the angles right before the ear. That's all done by hand. So what I'll do now is spray this with white paint, lots of, probably like 3 or 4 light coats, let it dry for a while, and then peel off all the tape and vinyl and hope that this sticks. This is the most nervous part of the entire project. I kind of cheated and already took off some sections here without recording. You can see how good it's coming out. The slashes look awesome. How it goes into the white paint. It's kind of a different shade of white when it goes into it here, so it kind of looks like battle damaged. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna go ahead and start taking off the rest of the vinyl. It came off really good. Big factor was that I bought that new vinyl, and basically it held really long. Alright, so there we go. That's the cleanest you're gonna see Rex. He's got all the battle scars on him, on the paint, on the white, or on the blue, on the white, kind of bleeding into both. You'll see a couple spots, like right here where the blue is above the line. The reason I did that is because I didn't feel like tediously making that line, simply because this is all going to be painted gray with a paintbrush, so you won't be able to see that. Same thing down here in the teeth. The teeth are going to be gray and black, and there's a couple blue that bled in. However, I was okay with that because this I'm going to be painting with a tiny paintbrush, and I can't just like go back with blue paint and have it look the same. So that's why that kind of looks like that. welcome, and move my mic here, to my favorite part of the build, and this is the weathering. I love this part simply because this is what brings the helmet out. Yeah, the helmet looks cool and everything like this, but this isn't a Captain Rex helmet from Rebels unless you got some awesome weathering in here. Is it? Oh, that's super glue. But this, you can see I got everything done. Everything is on the helmet, the markings. I don't like how I did the markings over here. I did them a little small, but it's not a big deal. They're on there, and they're not too small. But on the normal Rex helmet, it only stays up here. But on the Rebels Rex helmet, he does have markings down here. Grabbed a couple screen grabs. Another couple noticeable things is he has 7 tube stripes in Rebels. Why? I have no idea. In all of other Captain Rex's helmets, he has only 6. But in Rebels, he has 7. He has markings back here, 2 markings back here. Other than that, there really isn't much difference. Also, I mean, there's a lot of difference, but also his blue cuts off right here on the ear, or on the trim line, instead of going all the way to the ear like it does in his other ones. And the weld line also goes around this. However, like I said, it does not do that in Rebels. If you probably noticed, I said something earlier, these eyes are different than regular Rex. They're not sharp, they have more of a curvature to them. And then other than that, that's the same. We used hot glue for this. It is a textured weld. My buddy Thumper wanted to go with the blue. I was either going to do a realistic like silver look or the blue plasma look like they have in the actual show. So that's what we did. So basically what I'm going to do here, guys, is I'm going to take the helmet and apply this black wash. So basically what the black wash is it's rubbing alcohol, which I can't believe I'm even using this right now because it's so hard to find, but I really don't need it for anything because painting is life. So basically I'll take that, I'll take some acrylic paint, dump the acrylic paint in here, whatever, it doesn't really matter. There's no like perfect mixture to it, and I'll basically just mix it up or whatever and get it to be kind of black. I'll kind of check it here and there, make sure it's good enough. I don't want it to be too dark, but you want it to be like slate gray almost. I don't even know if that makes sense, but so basically what I'll do is I'll take this and I'll literally just put it everywhere. Now I got to be careful a couple spots because it is acrylic. I use acrylic paint on here. This is acrylic paint. This is acrylic paint as well. So the actual stain, this stain will stain this a lot worse, if that makes sense. So I got to be kind of careful. All the other paint on here, this is just typical, you know, like automotive paint or whatever you want to call it. So I also have a towel to remove and dabble. There is literally no perfect way to do this. It's weathering. You just kind of do it, throw it places, see how it looks. That's just how weathering works. So this video, I haven't actually looked at the actual time frame, but I think we're going on like 20 days of trying to make this. So if you guys think this stuff is easy or it happens overnight, it does not. And this is why when you want to go buy a helmet like this, they cost hundreds and hundreds of dollars, because it's not necessarily the product you're paying, or like the actual product, you're paying for the labor. It's so much work. And I love it. I love doing it. But without further ado, here we go. Let's see how this works. Just kind of want to get it in there, yeah. Just want to get it in there. Get it all over this blue. And a big thing about this helmet too is Rex in Rebels helmet is like 1,345 years old. It is very old in Rebels. Very, very old, because you got to remember, if you guys are Star Wars fans, Rebels takes place after, well after the Clone Wars. So the fact that he still has his actual helmet is kind of crazy, but you can see the kind of look we're going for. This is literally exactly what I wanted. It's more of a gray than a white. Kind of just makes it look dirty as shit, and that's really what we're going for. So I didn't record the last part of me weathering it, but what I did after I showed you guys the little sponging technique, I took a brush with very little paint on it, and it's called dry brushing, and I put it in a whole bunch of highlight spots. This helmet turned out unreal. I'm getting ready to show you guys. It is my best helmet by far. It weathered perfectly. Everything is on it except for the visor. I'm not gonna go through the visor making process. It's really just acrylic. I heat it and bend it and then glue it in there. I hate it. I hate making the visor. It's messy. If I had like a table saw or something like that, it'd be a lot easier. But without talking anymore, I give you Captain Rex from Rebels minus the visor. Check it out. It came out so good, dude. Like, so good. I love it. It's unbelievable. The weathering on it is awesome. The welds are unbelievably awesome. I did really good on the welds. But you can see that where the highlight marks of the weathering is, right on the seals and on the cracks and stuff. You come around here, you'll see all the weathering in the earpiece because it's got cracks in it. You have the markings, which you guys saw, the weathering on the back. And it just came out so good. Like, literally, this thing looks so good on camera, but it looks so much better in person. Like, it just looks so unreal. And just kind of close up looks at it, you can see how the weld is actually textured because of the glue. But that's Captain Rex, guys. Captain Rex from Rebels. He does not have the side thing, and his helmet is extremely dirty. I could actually make it dirtier, but this is the extent of it. I absolutely love it. It came out so good. I really am proud of this helmet. That's it for this video, guys. If you guys really did enjoy this video, I am making helmets like nonstop. My next helmet I'm making is a Captain Rex helmet, but it's the actual Captain Rex, like a realistic one with a silver weld and his rangefinder and everything else. So that's the next helmet I am making. And then I have a Scout Trooper and then probably a Stormtrooper. So if you guys want me to continue to do these videos, obviously I'll see how you guys reacted to it, how many views, how many likes, everything like that. If you did like it, make sure to hit the like button down below, and that will tell me that you guys enjoy seeing me build these helmets. And it's something I can continue to do. It's very easy. However, if not a big deal. I'll just do it on my side time and share them on Instagram. But it's all up to you. If you guys really like it, hit that like button and let me know if you want to see other builds other than this one, because obviously I am making a ton. Love you guys. Thank you so much for watching the video. I will see you guys later. I don't even know what the next video is. We'll figure it out eventually. Love your faces. Later.